Hey guys, happy Sunday morning. Welcome back. All right, let's let's look at the overall big picture regarding our investment. Let's see what's going on. Okay, guys, here's a news article from this is just local US news. It talks about the California governor issues a statewide stay-at-home order confirmed by the coronavirus within the US. So, what does this mean? Well, we have to look at a lot of different things here. With this news article, okay, first off, the U.S. actually has deployed the National Guard around a few different throughout a few different states. The National Guard has been deployed. Okay, so looking at everything, the the overall big picture in this is very hard to gauge now because when you look at the standard news, okay, here's some standard news right here. See, here's a news article talking about the new, all just political BS that we've seen for quite some time. Here's one on the new prime minister. Okay. Here's another one on, how they could actually topple the new prime minister and put a new person in there. So these articles are just talking about their political games. They don't do anything for us. These are not economic news articles. These are not articles from the CBI. We're just not seeing a lot of really good, solid news articles that we have to base anything on. What we do know as of currently with Iraq is that they've told us that the reforms are the deficit within the budget. They told us the last final step to get out of Chapter 7, which is the last and final payment to the country of Kuwait, is inside the 2020 budget. And we know that the 2020 budget is being held and delayed until they're not going to Parliament has not received it and will not start the approval process until after the rate changes. We know all that. Okay? That's everything that's currently lurking out there. So my point is this, it's very hard to look at just regular news, to gauge this and form a good hard opinion on what you see just from general facts. It's very hard to use facts right now to gauge this. Okay. And then we had faith. We had, Kim Clement saying the Dow would reach 20,000 points, guys. Most of the faith and prophecy side of this has now already come to pass. So, I mean, we have the why now part, from Kim Clement, and in my opinion, the why now part just simply means, that the rate could change during during the most, uh, during the worst points ever, worst economic points ever, or during the worst parts of everything we see, like, right in the middle of the coronavirus, that kind of thing. So when everything's at its worst, why now? Okay. So that's in my opinion on the why now. So again, but it's very hard to use Iraq news to gauge this investment, okay? And it's very hard to use faith right now because faith has kind of come to pass, okay? So everything is very difficult between faith and facts to really gauge this investment. So what do we have? What are we looking at here? Well, we know that they're not going to want people within the coming into the banks regarding the whole coronavirus, especially with lockdowns. They're not going to want people coming into banks to exchange currency, guys. They're not going to want that. That's why that's why I showed you this article right here telling you that California, for example, has issued a statewide stay-at-home order, okay, because of the coronavirus. So what do we have to go on here? Well, and how could this have played out? Well, we ultimately know that the Trump administration is in charge, and then we know that Iraq economically is going to start suffering if the rate doesn't change. So there could be a good solid chance that maybe, Iraq and Trump have met in the middle of this. Maybe they've agreed to change the rate. And again, guys, this is just my opinion, but maybe they have tentatively agreed to change the rate sometime, say, during the month of April. Because April will start their fiscal year. April's when they said they were going to start the approval process of the budget, all that. So maybe they pick some time in April. That way it gives the U.S. a chance to implement, a lockdown process for say 2 to 3 weeks. Remember the whole 15 days initially? Last week they kept talking about a 15-day lockdown. So so there could be a good chance they've maybe selected somewhere around the kind of the first half to the middle of April to change the rate. What we'll have to do is there's some indicators we can watch. We can see what we want to watch in the U.S. news is on the U.S. news side. We want to see what they're telling us about the lockdowns. Are the lockdowns going to be extended, say, clear to May or June, or will the lockdowns tentatively end in April? So we want to watch the status on the lockdowns to see how far they extend the lockdown periods for throughout various states. Okay, and another thing I shared with you guys last week is we can watch um, some of the U.S. financial markets, okay, to see when they've actually bottomed out and start slowly rising back up, okay? Like here's the Dow, here's the S&P 500, here's the Nasdaq. Okay, so we could watch some of the U.S. markets to see when they actually bottom out. It looks like they've bottomed out. Okay, the Dow's kind of holding right around the 19,000 range. We want to see if it'll start going back up to 2021 right there. Okay, so we can see when the markets bottom out and actually start slowly rising back up. That's an indicator. Same with oil. We can see when oil bottoms out, and that's Brent premium oil right there. See when that bottoms out and starts rising. Okay, and overall, guys, the whole world, not just the U.S. now, is in a global recession. This is a massive global recession. It's not just the U.S. It's not just Iraq. It's everybody. It's all across the world. So here's an article I found for you guys that's talking about. This is by Mohammed Saleh. He's one of the financial guys. What he's pretty much telling you here is he says the financial advisor to the Prime Minister, Mohammed Saleh, confirmed today that the financial situation of Iraq is currently under warning. This, Saleh said in a statement to the Iraq news agency, the situation in two directions. The first is by setting the core priorities for the government expenditures, especially for the groups that receive monthly government income, and number of approximately 8 million people, such as employees, retirees, those covered by care, social and financial grants provided by some of the suspended government companies. He added that trying to avoid expenditures is not important at the present time to stop them immediately until the oil markets return to their normal conditions while working to maximize non-oil resources. So as you guys see right here, what they're telling you is that oil is very important right now. Okay, they're saying that a lot of things. So they want to get, and I did share an article with you guys probably about a week or week and a half ago, somewhere in there, that said as soon as the coronavirus is resolved, oil will immediately or quickly return back to $60 a barrel. Okay, so just a couple things here. We want to see what the markets are doing, and we kind of want to watch the movement of the lockdowns. That's about all we have to go on right now, guys. We don't have we can spot check the Iraq news, but there's not a lot of solid information here that we have, to gauge anything to help us see what their next move is, So we can spot check the Iraq news. We can so that's kind of just I wanted to give you guys some things here but when you look at this or kind of look at it from a common sense angle and say, okay, if I was Donald Trump, I know that Iraq has to do this because Iraq's going to start getting pounded financially, as is the rest of the world. Okay, so if there's going to be a global recession in this, how do we balance this to make it to work for Iraq? Because Iraq's entering into their new fiscal year starting April 1st. How do we make this work? And so the best way to do it, guys, is one logical approach is they could have decided to meet somewhere around early to mid-April, and this saying, you know what, we need a good 15 days of lockdown period to slow the growth process of the coronavirus. So we need 15 days of lockdown. So boom, we possibly could meet with Iraq in the middle of the road on this, which would be somewhere around early to mid-April. That way that the U.S. gets their 15 days of lockdown and Iraq still gets their rate change, at the beginning of April. So guys, this is just my opinion. We just have to watch how it plays out, okay? So we want to watch the overall process with the lockdowns and kind of see how those are going and see how far they're extended until. And then we also want to watch the U.S. financial markets, oil, the Dow, the S&P, the U.S. dollar. We want to watch all those. Those are going to be the indicators that tell us a lot of what's going on. Okay. So, anyway, guys, we'll be keeping our eyes on everything, and we'll keep you posted. Okay. So, God bless you guys. Have a great day.